So it's been a while since I posted my last video, but I figured I'd make a video kind of detailing what my political stances are and how I've evolved over the years and some other things. But I guess, to get where I am now, I'd have to kind of give you I wouldn't say a recap, but rather kind of a abridged version of how my views have changed growing up. So, when I was a kid, I grew up in I would say a politically mixed household. My father for a long time was a conservative atheist Democrat. My mother was a religious liberal Republican. Make that of what you will. The only person who I knew that had a consistent political slant was my sister, but that was when she went to college. So those kind of laid the bedrocks for my political beliefs. And actually, I hate to use it as political beliefs. I'll get to another video of why I hate calling political views beliefs. But, and all this as a kid, it was happening during the Clinton administration. So, it was actually during the Bush administration where I started getting political. And, this is around the time when I was a teenager. Like, when you're a kid, you don't really get big into politics, but around 2000, even though I couldn't vote, I was a Bush supporter around 2000. It wasn't until 2001 after 9/11 where after that the Patriot Act was passed, and that was what kind of got my attention into politics when I was preteen. And I opposed it because, wiretapping American citizens, civil liberties being curtailed and all that. That was when I started taking an interest in politics. It wasn't until I think I was 14 to 16 when I became a communist. And to kind of say it before it was cool, I was a communist before communism became cool. I was kind of a stupid kid. It wasn't until I moved in with my dad after my parents divorced 6 years later, when I was 16. And I remember I got into an argument with my father about religion. And he was like, well, because I'm a libertarian, that's why. Which I think my father doesn't really understand what it meant to be a libertarian. Because my father at the time was using it to justify his strict adherence to religion. My father, I forgot to mention, became a born-again Christian when I was a teenager. So initially I hated the word libertarian because I thought it just meant another kind of Republican. Until I looked it up in the dictionary myself, and there were a lot of things I agreed with libertarianism, like free will, personal choice, and all that stuff. Before that, because I already gave up on communism as a teenager, when I started learning a lot about the human rights abuses, and a lot of people who have lived under communism, they like it here. And I was already looking for a political set of values that matched my own at the time. And with the Democrats, I agreed on gay marriage, pot legalization. With Republicans, I agreed on gun rights and shrinking the size of federal government because it grew exponentially under Bush. So at the age of 16, I became a libertarian. And at the time, I didn't know there was a left or right kind of libertarian until I was about 19 or 20. Around that time, I identified more as a left libertarian at the time. Probably somewhere close to an anarcho-communist. But because I didn't have any social media or I didn't know where to go, I was convinced primarily by my father that they didn't exist. So I kind of shifted towards the right around 2009. I also did vote for Obama. Part of it was my dad pressured me to vote for Obama. I would have voted for him anyways. But this is around the last time my father was a Democrat. This is around the time that I also started watching Alex Jones from 2009 to around, I think, 2016, when I just realized that Alex Jones was a hack. So between the years of 2009 and 2015, I guess you could say I was more of a Ron Paul Republican, or later a Rand Paul Republican. But I started getting disappointed in both of them because I viewed them as hypocrites. And around 2015, I considered voting for Bernie Sanders. So I don't know if there is a term out there, but I would have considered myself a Bernie-tarian, where there were things I didn't agree with Bernie Sanders, but I felt like at the time he was a better political choice than either Hillary or Trump. And I was kind of upset that he was shafted by the Democratic Party. I mean, for the Democratic Party for loving to say they'd love to get rid of the Electoral College, they should start first with getting rid of the superdelegate system. Because Bernie Sanders is very popular, and the Democrats basically didn't want him. But I'll get to that in another video. I don't want to trail off too far from the subject matter. So when it came up between Hillary and Trump, I voted straight party Republican. I didn't expect Trump to win, but my reasoning at the time was, if Hillary was going to be president, I wanted the Senate to be kept Republican at least, because it's projected to still be in Republican hands. And I wanted it to be kind of like a form of checks and balance, or a counterbalance, so that it wouldn't be like just a one-party state or a rubber stamp Congress that'll pass whatever. And it was also around the time that I shifted into a new job. Also around the time by 2015 and 2016, I kind of became something of an anarcho-capitalist. And when I started my new job, I was in contact of someone who was an anarcho-socialist at the time. And even though we didn't agree on things, there were things we agreed with. But working at my new job kind of gave me kind of a bit of a reality check of working in a company that more or less exploits its workers. Doesn't really give a damn. Even though our job has a union, doesn't really do much. So that was when I started reevaluating my political positions, and then I gradually started turning to the left. And then by 2019, I was pretty far left, in the libertarian left. And even at the time, I was reluctant to call myself a libertarian socialist, because, that turns away a lot of people who are on the libertarian side. And even in the left, it's like, so I already found myself sandwiched in a hard position. And it was around 2019 when I started originally making my videos on YouTube. And I didn't know that if my channel was going to grow or not. And I tried to be more of a fair and balanced kind of person on YouTube. Like, if there were things that I disagreed with, like, for example, I didn't agree with Nancy Pelosi's saying of when a new president's in charge, we'll slam in gun control proposals without congressional approval. I didn't agree with that. Or people harassing mini AOC. Even though that I didn't agree with, people on the right, I didn't agree with people attacking kids because they were making parody politician accounts. But as time grew on and I started really trying to think of where I was, I felt like I had to support the left in whatever it did, even if there were things I didn't agree with. Not because I was afraid of getting canceled, but more of I was afraid of losing relevancy. And I guess you could say that's where I felt like, had I sold out, had I given up on the principles that I have held dear for so long, and especially in 2020 with the coronavirus and the protests, I really didn't know where to feel. And it was in October of 2020 when, I don't know what possessed me to do it, but I deleted my channel temporarily in an attempt to do a rebrand, which was a very stupid idea. I tried other names. I've tried the Egoist. I've tried all that other stuff, and then I just decided to go back to the name I've been using, even though that I don't necessarily think it's where I stand anymore. And I probably will make a follow-up video to kind of explain where I stand now, but I guess you could say that how I grew up and how it shaped my upbringing and my political views is where it's gotten to where I am today. So, I'm sorry for the video being all rambly and stuff, but I figured I'd make a video kind of explaining where I came from to where I am now. I might make another video, probably refining it, but that's all I wanted to say. So, this is the Agnostic Libertarian, signing off.